What up, my motherfuckers? How y'all doing today? I am Randy Lee Giles, aka Deception. I'm creating some organizations, a church called the Church of Reason of Education, or Cult of Reason and Education, as you may, whatever you want to call it. I'm also creating a political organization called the Fuck You Party. And these are all aimed at protecting nonconformity behaviors. I'm kind of tired of the sanctimonious, self-righteous, hypocritical bullshit of our society, and I want people just to fucking be themselves, be honest, respectful, and let's move this society forward instead of stroking each other off. And we are so fucking insane. If you follow me, or if you've been listening to me at all, you know I say that a lot. I say we are insane, and every time you all laugh and nod along and say, yeah, we are. But I don't really think you're listening to me. I don't think you're understanding what I'm telling you. Maybe you guys have all this figured out. And let me stop right there and announce my qualifications. I'm just a dirty old bastard with high-speed internet, a phone, and a lot of free time on my hand, and a stack load of weed. So I smoke a lot of weed, and I pontificate on the existence and meaning of life. I ain't really got shit figured out, but I got a lot of ideas, and I am quite comfortable with my place in this life. There are so many people that misunderstand who I am and have these ideas of me being broken and miserable, or, nah, kids, you just ain't listening to what I'm telling you. And that's not your fault. It's my fault. The way I communicate with you guys is abrasive, so to speak. I do that intentionally to try to avoid manipulating you. I've developed what I call my lowest common denominator philosophy, where I identify my ideas in the worst possible aspect and communicate in that way to reduce the chances of manipulating you or swaying you. But through my life, I've been observing human behavior and, paying attention to new discoveries and stuff. And I do genuinely believe that our species, me, you, the entire human existence, is an exercise in insanity. And I believe it's a combination of our genetics and the social structures we've created. So take a hit, sit down, grab a snack, whatever you need to do. I'm getting ready to pontificate, and I'm going to refresh real quick. Love you always and forever. I'll be right back. Check out my roof. Refresh complete. All right. We are insane. A theory by deception, aka Randy Lee Giles Jr., some asshole online. So it starts off when we're children. We are developing our ids, who we are, our right and wrong, the motivations that are going to carry us pretty much through the rest of our lives are developed in those early stages of our life. I believe it's around, like 4 to 6, and then again in like your early teens, 15 to 16 or something like that. I'm not a psychologist, just read shit online. But I try to focus on news articles and more than memes. But I admit I do use memes as like a keyword source. So if I hear somebody talking about an idea or something, I'll pop a couple out of those. And I use both sides to research. So I'll look to Fox News frequently when I'm trying to fact check a dim on something, because bless their hearts, they all manipulate and bullshit. It's the nature of politics. So when we're children, we are developing our ideas of right and wrong. But the problem is nobody's being real with us. We are being swayed and manipulated the entire time of our existence. We tell our kids everything's all right. It's not your fault. This doesn't have anything to do with you. But it does. It always does. They're always there. They're always involved. And when they don't get reasonable and fully thought out explanations, they do what all humans do, and they just make shit up. And it's kind of weird that the nature of our ids is often self-demeaning. We'll take responsibility and blame for shit that really has nothing to do with us. And I saw that personally in my childhood. My parents, a little young, a little wild. Love them dearly. They, all three of them. Um, all three of my parents mean the absolute world to me. They all gave me love in their own ways, um, but there were a lot of harms they did as well. Um, and unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to reconcile or come to terms with what had happened between me and my two of my parents. I have got a chance in the past few years to come to understand my mom's point of view on a lot of things differently. And that's been a real blessing, honestly, to try to get her side of her point of view of what happened. And it's also been a bit of a curse, but it's kind of the existence of life. So when you're a child, you're getting all this misinformation, half truths. You're not really experiencing the real world. And then when you get older, around 18, 20 or so, your brain slows down. It starts hardening rather subtly at first. And then, as you get older, it becomes more extreme and stuff starts going wild up there. My mom may be experiencing early onset dementia. We're going to get her tested out soon and see where we're at on that. We just had some odd behavior over the past couple of years. So as you grow older, so mid-20s or so, that's when your brain starts to harden a little bit. Now, if you understand basics of physics and thought, you know that human impulse is electrical current. And through our understanding of physics and electricity, we know that electricity always follows the path of least resistance. So as your brain is starting to harden, you aren't picking up on this and you don't notice it physically, but your brain does. Your brain recognizes, ooh, this is harder to develop this new circuit than it was a few years ago. And you start developing this subconscious resentment towards new ideas and input. And it gradually grows worse as you get older. By the time we're cranky old people, the myth of the cranky old person is taken about. But what's happening there, we aren't really understanding the nature of their reality. See, their id, when they're in their 50s and 60s, was set decades ago. And that's still the core of who they are. So the reality that they're in now makes absolutely no fucking sense to them at all, because all the kids that have come up before them have applied their own little twist to everything. And technology advances and society advances. And so we spend the rest of our life trying to get back to this fictional childhood that never existed. And we just romanticize it because we had less responsibilities and less burdens there. So our species spends all this time in this fake childhood, growing up to be old and cranky and reminiscing about how the good old days were that never fucking existed. And you can see this play out in the history of humanity. Like, I'm going to describe to you all of human history right now. The few control everything. They suppress the many. The many get tired of it. They overthrow the few, and then they become the few. And that key fundamental aspect of humanity is repeated over and over and over throughout all human history. Like on a global and local scale, time and time again, you see that shit rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And every time it does, we tell ourselves it's something new, it's something different. But it's not. It's the same old bullshit that we created when we were cavemen. This failed idea of land ownership and we are truly insane. And it's the nature of our brain and social structures. We believe that we all live in objective reality, that we all share an objective reality, but the nature of our brain and the way we define things and orientate things makes us all completely batshit crazy to everybody else. Like, misunderstanding is the greatest driver of human conflict ever. It happens all the time, every way. We aren't honest, open, and real with our thoughts and desires. And so we keep failing to get those validated and accepted. It, it sounds batshit crazy, but I do genuinely believe human existence is, by definition, insane. It, we share one little bubble, but there are 8 billion different realities all floating together, cracking into each other. Anyways, love you always and forever. Stay amazing.